but who better than the all-knowing, all-seeing broker Jeff? So I'm going to let broker Jeff talk about the rules of engagement in open houses and the rules that we have to follow. Okay, and there are quite a few. So take it away, Jeff.
I'm not one that likes rules, but I like best practices. And I want to let you know the first thing, you are on display representing our brokerage and representing our God, family, and business, all of our best practices. So when you think maybe something might be a little controversial, don't do it. If you have a problem, I got a call last Saturday about someone got one of these Google messages and they're like, am I safe for my open house? And I'm like, I looked that up. Google messages are usually used by spammers. They say, I see you have this for sale. Give me your Google number. And they try to entrap you into. So, I mean, just be careful out there. Open houses are an excellent way of building your business. They're an excellent way of making your sellers happy because they think they're pushing their property. So and a lot of people use them as one of their major spinning plates for building business. Will you sell the house that you're holding open? It's unlikely. The stats are against you. But will you have an opportunity to meet future buyers and to build up your credibility with sellers for future listing appointments? Yes. Okay. So, I mean, a lot of it is common sense. Some of it's not. However, let's talk about rule number one, family members. We have had people, I think, use less than common sense and bring family members to an open house while they were holding the house open. This is an absolute no-no. First of all, it's an insurance nightmare if one of your family members should get hurt while you're, because you're covered by your E&O insurance, but your family members aren't. So if you have a problem, you can't get a sitter, you can't call one of us to sub for you, or let's cancel the open house. So please don't feel like the only way I can do this open house is to bring my family members with me. There's an exception to that. For safety reasons, you can bring your spouse. Your spouse can greet people. Your spouse can talk about anything that's on the listing sheet, the price, the number of bedrooms, bathrooms. But the minute there's any real estate questions like, do you think the seller would take less for this? Or what's the seller's motivation? Or anything real estate, spouse has to stop and say, I'm sorry, that's not my capacity, but I'll get my wife or my husband or my significant other to talk to you about that. When I used to have to do 2 open houses with an agent, my wife would sit the open house, and anytime somebody asked her a question, she just patch it over to me. So it was fine, but a lot of reasons why you might bring a spouse is safety. Even though Naples is a very safe place. Oh, yeah, sure. No problem. Well, this is being recorded, Carol. We're in trouble now.
I'm out. I'm in the witness protection program.
Okay. So if you want to bring a spouse, it's as a matter of fact, in today's world, it's not a bad idea to have a fellow agent with you, a colleague or a spouse, just to make sure that there's no issues with safety. And we take it for granted, but yet every year people get kidnapped and robbed at open houses. So, you have to respect that even though Naples is a safe place, we've had crime at open houses. I've been involved as a broker with the husband or wife would come in, start talking, realtor would be showing them the house. Meanwhile, someone would pull up in a car and go into the house and start stealing stuff while they were being shown the house. So don't assume that because you're in Naples that it's safe, because it may not be. Right? And so I want you to be sure that if you feel like you're not going to be safe, if you want your spouse to help you with the open house, I don't have any problem. Dress appropriately, right? You're representing your company, they're representing your company. So, but just use common sense, right? If it doesn't seem like it makes sense to bring a family member or kids or whatever, it's because it doesn't make any sense. It's a serious commitment of 2 or 3 hours of your time. And it's also, you're representing our business and your professionalism and your career, so be careful with that. Another thing that I see is signs, all right? Yeah, go ahead.
What if we don't have a spouse and it's only a female, or some precautions that we can do?
Okay, great question. What if we don't have a spouse or a significant other? There are enough new realtors in here now that you should be able to put something out on Facebook or make a call, or if you're in any one of the classes, just ask somebody, can you help me on Saturday or Sunday for a couple hours? And as a matter of fact, as a new realtor, we're going to suggest that you always shadow an open house or two before you do one on your own. I think it's important that you understand the decorum and that you feel comfortable doing it. And doing one on your own for the first time is probably not the best you can do for yourself.
Let somebody know what you want.
Right, I have a follow-up.
Pardon?
I
Okay.
have a follow-up. Like normally as a job, you are not allowed to privately carry. Since it is an employment moment, can you still,
A lot of realtors carry.
okay,
It's fine. You have to follow the rules. You have a license that says you can carry if you have a concealed license. If you don't have a concealed license, it's a felony to carry a weapon with you. But it's real easy to get your concealed, easier now than ever to get your concealed permit. And as a matter of fact, I think NABOR twice a year teaches with the police department a concealed carry course where you go through the whole thing, then you go to the shooting range the next day and you shoot. So if you're interested in that, please do, but understand there's a responsibility of carrying. You got to use the weapon regularly so that if you have to use it, you use it properly. So, but that's the law and that's fine with me, but just be licensed, be appropriate, and be, don't carry it on your hip like, hi, welcome to my office. I don't think that's real.
Thank you for bringing that up.
But it's a great question, and self-defense and realtor safety have been in the forefront at NABOR back since I was on the board years ago. We started bringing in, as a matter of fact, Tim Garrett, who's running for supervisor of elections, he was a sheriff at that time. So look for those classes, take them if you're interested, but by all means, if you have a license to carry, you can carry. If you don't have a license, not a good idea. Then you're taking an unnecessary risk. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about signage. Okay, in Collier County, we've negotiated that you can have 3 directional signs and 1 on the property. Okay, so it's a good idea to use those because, if you're near a major thoroughfare, you can put a sign on the corner that says open house. No balloons, no screaming, no people waving the sign like that, just simple open house sign with a direction, you put the address on there. And I recommend you go to either the NABOR store or Home Depot and get a small sign. If they disappear, somebody grabs them, you're not out. You're not out.
They just drive around on Sundays.
But if you're in the city of Naples, the city of Naples will confiscate them and they will fine the brokerage. Okay, they'll give you a couple of warnings and they'll start fining the brokerage $250 at a time. So city of Naples is 1 small sign. It's 3 by 3 and it has to face this way. It can't be double-sided. So if you're in the city of Naples, make sure you follow their sign because they do drive around on Saturdays and Sundays and they will issue you a citation. So understand where you are. In Lee County, I think it's the same as Collier. I think you can have 3 directional signs.
I think so.
But you can't put balloons on them. And you have to just make them small and subtle. But if you're in a community where there's a lot of turns, it can really help you. Also, if it's a gated community, go to the guardhouse. Hand them some of your flyers. Let them know where you are. Most of those guards are nice. They don't have anything to do. Maybe they'll soon talk to you.
Flyer right on the guardhouse, so when people come through, they can read it.
So, I mean, here's my thinking, a few things. I won't take Carol's thunder, but if you've got a 1 o'clock open house, go to the house before you put up any signs. Open the house, make sure you have a point of exit other than the front door. Get that open, get the air conditioning on, get the lights on, and then go hang your signs. Because I'm assure you, if you go 1:45 to start hanging your signs, you're gonna have 2 or 3 people at your door before you have a chance to open the house and get it ready. So get the house ready, then go back and put your signs up, all right? And follow a logical path to where somebody who's driving around can see it, okay? If it's in a gated community, almost every one of the major gated communities, be it Kensington, you know, you name them, will have open house Sundays. They'll have a big sandwich board. In that case, you want to go to the guardhouse, you want to tell them where your open house is, and you can even give them some of your flowers. They're pretty good about that. So many of the gated communities are friendly on Sundays from noon to 4, okay? But make sure your signs are compliant. In some cases in Pelican Marsh, they have to be tan and green, okay? You can get those signs at the neighbor store, but there's certain communities that require certain signs. Same for sale signs, but we're talking about open houses today. So make sure your signs are compliant.
Keller Williams is calling me.
Pardon?
It's the office.
That's
I'm sorry, what were the colors of the signs for Pelican?
Pelican Marsh is a tan and green
Oh,
sign.
tan and green.
I used to buy all tan and green open house signs because,
Okay.
so I used to buy all tan and green ones because they usually work anywhere. But the red and white ones and the cheap little ones, sometimes some communities don't want them. So make sure you know, and you can almost always call the management office. They will generally send you what's called, if you've got a listing, they'll send you a packet. And the packet has in it their rules and regs, open house rules for sale signs, all that stuff about the community, so you will be compliant. And again, it's sort of like, don't stick out like a sore thumb. Don't push the edge of the envelope, because sooner or later, you know, it's all about you, and we only have one chance to make a good first impression. So I think that common sense, I think having accompaniment, especially if you're at all concerned. If I'm in the estates, I want somebody else there with me, right? If I'm in a gated community where there's security and people, you know, are probably not just rolling in there, I'm probably a little less concerned about that. And the more you do open houses, the more savvy you'll get. All right. Couple other things. Don't let the patrons overtake your open house. Okay. If you're there by yourself, okay, and you're wanting to show a group around, it's perfectly okay to lock the door and hang a sign on it and said, I'm working with other people. The worst thing you can have is 3 groups running around your house and you can't talk to any of them. Or you can talk to one group and then you got to run over to another. Don't lose control of your open house. It's your open house. It's not the customer's open house. It's your open house. All right. So the last thing, I guess, a couple things I'll say is I should go get my log out before I go, but I go to Neighbor and buy a little book. And each book, each page is one customer. If you put a log out there with like this, you'll get Mickey Mouse, you'll get 999, 999. People will generally not give you good information on a log. You agree with that?
I do.
So I have a book that's not expensive. It's $15, $20. Each page is one customer. And it asks them, are you working with a realtor? Are you doing the, and you'll be surprised how much information you'll get on that one page, because it's for you, not for everybody that's come through that day. And then on the back, I used to write notes on it. And then when I came that Monday, I'd write handwritten cards to those people. So I think the open house log, I'm not a huge fan of these iPad things where you have people sign in and on iPads and all that. Not everybody's computer savvy. So I
Where
think
can you get one of those books?
at the Neighbor
At the
store, I'll show
okay.
it to you before I leave. Just,
Thank you.
I mean, just some things that we found out over the years, that an open house log that's sitting there is not going to get you good information. That's just, so that's about all I have. I just think that depending upon the community and depending upon how many of these you've done, you're almost always better off partnering with somebody. You can share if 8 people come in and I work with 4 and Carol works with 4, that's my lead, that's Carol's lead. I mean, but it's a lot easier if you're in an area where there's high traffic and you've got a hot open house. It's a lot easier to have control of it, okay? It's the things that we've seen. if you don't watch people, they will go in the medicine cabinets and they'll take stuff out of there, believe it or not. So have your sellers take all their medications and hide them. But you just, and we've had people say, oh, I lost my Rolex watch during that. You know, counsel your seller to make sure that they aren't leaving electronics laying around, valuables, prescription drugs. And if you control your open house and only allow people in that you can control, you're gonna be fine. The minute you get people or kids in there and they're sprayed out all over the house, you've lost control. So try not to do that. It's not a crime to put a sign on the door saying, you know, I'm working with another couple right now, please wait. I know it might be a potential customer, but when you lose control over that open house, it's not a good thing for you or for the customers. Okay? Anything else?
You can all go home now, because he's.
Well, the other thing, if you haven't done an open house, I mean, we don't have it as a hard and fast rule, but if you haven't done an open house, you really need to go and participate in a couple of them. And if you're not doing anything on a Sunday, we always have open houses. Get in your car and drive. The community will be open. You can go to Gray Oaks, or you can go to a community you've never been to. You can drive around, look at the amenities, and get some experience, then drop by and see Michelle. Hey, Michelle, see you got this open, and Michelle's not busy, she'll help you. So make sure you feel comfortable doing that open house on behalf of our seller before you do one. And always, if you can, partner with somebody else. I think in this day and age, it's a smart thing to do, especially in neighborhoods that aren't gated. Naples Park, you know, all these places where people can just randomly drive around, see an open house sign and pull in. You have some
You're
risk
sitting
involved.
down, basically. You don't know who they
I know
are.
Carol will go over with you, but
Well,
when you park, I see people park, they pull in, they get this far from the garage, and they get out of their car and go in and do their open house. What happens if somebody comes in and you gotta get out of there? And they park behind you.
You never want to do that.
Always park facing out or along the street. So if you have to get out of there, you have to get out of there. Cell phone in your pocket, not in your purse. Okay? There's a number of different utilities that you can use to call the police. I don't think we have to be on high alert, but we have to be sensible about
Yeah,
what we
just
do.
be aware.
Cell phone in your pocket. Park away from the dwelling where you can get out of there. Always go in the back if there's a sliding glass door or a back door that you can get out, open that. Make sure it's open. Make sure if something happens, you can be gone, because you're not gonna have a second chance. And you just have to be careful in this day and age. You read about all the scams, you read about all the people trying to cheat everybody else. You're a target as a realtor to somebody that wants to do harm. But I don't think you should lay awake at night worrying about that. I think you should just have a routine. Go to the house first, get it all fixated before you start your open house and put up your signs. Park intelligently, cell phone in the pocket. If you want to carry, you carry. But I think that it's just a matter of using common sense. And I think that a lot of people use open houses as one of their key sources from business. So I'll go get that book. But the more time you spend up front preparing. Also, I think one other thing that I can think of is have a list of everything that's open in that community, everything that's for sale, everything that's pending. Because when they say, I don't really like this house too much, do you have any others in the area that you could show me or you could send me? So that's always something. I used to have everything in that community on a sheet showing what happens in the last 30 to 45 days. So you can tell them what's going on. All right.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Appreciate
All
it
right.
so much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Broker
Good luck,
Jeff.
everybody.
Thank you.
So by a show of hands, who are the brand new agents who have never done the open house? You don't do it? I like this. I'll share some experiences that I've had. I've been in the business for 4 decades, which is a long time. I know you can't believe that.
True, I know.
I literally have, and so has Dory. I'm not sure if I can.
Who's the name?
so you've
Here.
got some miles.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Here's my book, you can pass it around, it's a little dog
Thanks,
here,
Jack.
but you just throw it back on the desk.
Thank you. This
Okay.
is a nice
Thank
book.
you.
I think
It
one,
looks fancier than it is, I think it's like $20, and you got the insert with all the pages.
you also don't lose pieces of paper.
Good luck.
Those are nice.
My whole filing system for many
I like
years
that.
was a three-ring binder with a plastic envelope. And I had one piece of paper in that envelope for each customer, everybody I touched. And I did this for years and I never lost a customer. So here's what I would do. I'd write down their name, address, and, whatever information I had. And what the next touch was going to be, what the very next step was going to be, what their pets' names were, all of those things, and when I would be in touch with them next. And if you were stopped at a light, you could flip through and see who you needed to, I mean, I don't recommend that. You could flick through and see who you were going to, come on in.
Let's go.
It's going great, I think, so far. You misspoke broker Jeff, which is probably the most important part of the. So it doesn't matter how you do, your record, as long as it's a consistent kind of record keeping. Open houses, notoriously, people do assignment sheets, such as this.
Yeah,
And you think, oh, that's great, then you pack up all your stuff that you brought, you throw it in your car, and the next day. What did I do with the assignment sheet? It's really good to have it in a permanent, I'm going to pass this around. Good to have it in one location like this, so it's hard to lose something like that.
yes.
Piece of paper is easy to lose. So I just want Doreen, as another very experienced agent, feel free to jump in anytime. Jeff, I wanted to come in and talk about the rules more as much as he did. I'm going to go in depth on each thing that he talked about, with everybody's permission. Is that okay?
Yes, ma'am.
I try not to be too long-winded, but at each, I jotted down a couple of things which I thought were important topics to cover. At the end of each topic, I would like you to ask the questions then, so it's not too far out, it's immediate to what we're talking about. So the first thing I would say is preparing for and advertising your open houses. That's a must. If it's not your listing, my suggestion would be to get with the list agent and find out, number one, are they advertising it on the MLS? Because as realtors, we all like those printouts of what's coming up, what's coming up that weekend. All the buying agents will look for that to see where their buyers are all going to. So you want to, thank you, Michelle. So preparation is everything. Would you agree, Lori?
100%. But I don't always remember to do that, and I have a lot of agents that sit for me.
Yeah.
So you may not get any activity, it's on the MLS.
Right, exactly. Unless if you're counting on people driving by and seeing the signs, that's probably not the best course of action. Make sure that it's advertise it within our own company. For gosh sakes, you have how many agents now? Several hundred agents that are very active agents for the most part, and they're going to look and see what's coming up, and they know the agent who is listing, so they may be very interested in that particular house. But always call, ask. If they do ask you to do an open house, make sure that you're prepared. Because as a new agent, if you look tongue-tied and not confident in what you're talking about, they will not want you to represent them. The more confident you are, the more knowledgeable you are, the more likely you're going to get a buyer or a seller out of that interface. Okay? Do you have any questions about that? Quietest I've ever seen you. No, please, because I would like you to join in, but my way of teaching is to discuss stuff. I think that students learn as much from each other as they do from the person standing up, leaving the group, so jump in
Okay.
anytime.
I will.
Please, don't, anyway, advertising can be, you know, there's all manner of advertising. MLS is the best thing to do if you're doing an open house. And then letting everybody within our office know that you have this property for sale. There are.
Social media.
Social media is a great way. It doesn't have to be anything exotic, just a simple post to everybody you know on Facebook.
I would also recommend doing a Facebook Live.
Facebook Live when
Yeah.
you're in the property.
Yeah,
Right.
like just a very simple, maybe 30-second to a minute saying you're gonna be here from 1 to 4, a little bit about the property, and then leave it at that.
Can you come to my next open house? Cause I'm never gonna do that.
So you do that, but like, you just like, you don't walk in the house, right?
I get there,
Walk around the house.
yeah, I'll get there
A
like
little
30,
bit.
yeah, I'll get there 30 minutes early, set up the signs, and then turn all the lights on, and then either if there's like a balcony out back or kitchen super nice, somewhere that's super nice looking,
Okay.
stand with it behind me and just a few
Okay.
things about it, yeah. I'll be here
You
for
don't
one.
need to know list price or anything like that?
I mean, you can say the price of it because it's active,
Okay.
but yeah, I mean,
I would recommend if it's an open house, saying the price.
Yeah.
Because
Okay.
you get a lot of looky-loos at open houses and, you
Okay,
know, they may not
That's good. I
necessarily
can
be
do
able
that.
to afford the house. So, I mean, if it's open, anybody's welcome to come.
I
So,
would say that if you're sitting the open house for someone else, you're doing that 1 minute Facebook Live, but even more importantly, you're doing your own flyers and your own social media. Become friends on Facebook with the person you're doing the open house with, so that they
They
can
can
share it as well.
Exactly.
Like I do all of my own.
I do that.
and like you would text
Tag
Marie,
Doreen.
yeah, and so then she sees that you posted it, she'll share it, yep.
okay.
And I did,
Can you
yeah.
speak to that? He's pretty good about the social media. Yeah, so,
Did you have something to add?
yes, Chris, add something.
Come on, Fred.
Yeah, man, I just see it as a big net, just cast the biggest net you can, and
Right.
the more people I tag in it, the more others will see it,
Sure.
you know?
But even people who can't come,
Yeah, exactly.
they're learning about the house. There's been many times when I've been otherwise occupied on Sundays and I'll see somebody post a walkthrough. I think, gosh, that would work perfectly for somebody I'm working with. So it's a huge net.
How about posting it for lenders, to your lender partners, to your title partners, just because they will share.
And what I wanted to expand on with Broker Jeff, is if you are an agent and you don't have a significant other who's available to come to an open house and you have any qualms about doing it by yourself, why not touch base with a lender? I've had lenders come to my open houses. So if they wanted to come and show people how that house could be affordable to them, that would be okay, and that would cover both things. It would give you somewhat additional protection, if you like, and also give knowledge and information out about the house. So the affordability of the house, so you could take somebody that's not ready to buy, because people have all kinds of myths about what they can afford. They think it's a terrible market right now. They'll tell you any reasons why. Well, we're just going to wait and see.
Mhm.
Well, waiting and seeing 2 years ago netted you zero, because houses were gone in hours that they were on the market. There was such a scramble. These are different days. I can tell you 2 years ago, nobody was doing open houses, or almost nobody. Put the house, list it, get it in great shape, make the pictures pretty, post it, and
It
within
was gone.
hours. And by the way, I just listed a property 2 weeks ago in Naples Golf, Lakely Golf and Country Club, which is an older, very, very nice community. And I decided to do an open house and introduce the house that way. And I posted the house at midnight, which I like to do because then everybody's, the next morning they're all scrambling. And I had to change my whole game plan on that house because I had probably 6 or 7 showing requests on by like 10 o'clock the morning after I posted it at midnight. I thought, what am I doing? Oh, what I was doing, okay, I have to rethink and restructure my thinking. And I had the house under contract, fully under contract by 6 p.m. that night. So this is still a good market. For the new people who listen to the news, what a terrible market. It's not a terrible market. But when people complain to me that the interest rates are 7%, I just look at them for a moment and I say, yeah, I can understand after last year when they were under 3, 4, 3.5%. I said, gosh, it doesn't seem that bad to me. I've sold real estate when the interest rate was 18.
Yeah.
Wow.
You know, and we sold. I sold our whole community at 18%.
Wow.
We had to help buy down the mortgages, but people always need houses. Nobody's living on the street in Naples, as far as I know. Everybody needs a home. So people are still very motivated. And those wait and see people,
They're not real buyers, or they're not educated.
they're not understanding like what their finances are, because those same people will have credit cards that they're paying, God knows what, 24%. I mean, and that also brings their buying power down because they're already, you know, their debt to income ratio is not the best. So I just say to people, I make a joke out of it, but I'm deadly serious. You should marry your house and date your mortgage. Just keep the money in the bank to refi that house as soon as the rates come down.
And they will.
And they will, because they do. The interest rates, for those of us that have done this since Adam was alive, it's the interest rates do this. And we as professionals have to do this. The need never changes, the desire never changes. The only reason that things, the perception, it's the perception. So if you have a clear image of and you'll get these questions at open houses all the time. Wow, this is a gorgeous house. Oh, what are you waiting for? I always ask them, what are you waiting for? I'm waiting for the interests to come down. We'll be waiting a while. So by the time the interest rates, a lot of people are looking at this house, a lot of people like this house. By the time you move, it'll be gone. So my best advice is buy the house, fall in love with the house, and just save the mortgage. Just keep a little money aside to do the refi when it's time.
There are many lenders that are doing a refi. They know their interest rates are going to go down.
Sure.
And they're going to do that refi if you have purchased with them with no fees. So,
Yeah, I think loan, mostly say Home Depot, Loan Depot does something like that.
yes,
And by the way, they're very accommodating as far as coming out to your open house and having a little table set up.
so I not only, I mean, I had a significant other, but he would never come to an open house for me. So I just invite Michelle's husband. You're too.
It sounded so funny.
Very nice guy.
But then he'll be there to tell you, hey, okay, you can buy down a mortgage, or you can, we'll refinance when the rates go down, the fees will be nominal. I mean, there's just a lot of regulation in it.
I think another good thing is to ask them questions. Ask, please tell me more about that. What makes you say that? Who told you that?
Yeah, why do you think that? It's okay to ask questions.
You can ask that they will educate you and say, have you ever spoken to someone about this? Do you know that this will be your payment, or?
Do you know what your payment it will be? What is your purchasing power? Are you purchasing for cash, or are you financing? Never assume that somebody cannot purchase
cash, because it's insulting.
And you don't.
I always assume everybody that walks through the door has the ability to pay cash. I don't care what they look like or what they're wearing. Because in my career, I can tell you for sure that the people that have the max amount of money come in looking like scumbags
They
half
dress
the
like
time.
me.
Seriously, they'll come in old sneaks and then come off the tennis court and then, hey, how much? Looks like a really nice house, you know, and you're like, oh, great, welcome, are you working with a realtor? Oh,
It's not your lot, you wanna ask them when the rates change, what do you price on the home?
Yeah.
And what kind of factor, how does that factor in? Perhaps you can speak to somebody who do the numbers using the division.
Can you explain that? When the rates change?
If you're waiting for the rates to change,
Oh,
do you know what the house price is going to be at that?
oh. Soon as the rates
Change, houses are gonna
They're
go up.
only, and house prices are not coming down.
No.
It's kind of a misnomer.
So how great would it be to buy the house at the lower price, potentially, and then you can change the rate here? If you're buying a
Buy
higher
the house,
price at a lower
Get your
interest.
mortgage. Buy the house,
Isn't it beneficial?
get the mortgage. Because then you have the house that you love. Have to live somewhere, right? What's the interest rate on renting? 100%.
100%.
100% is the interest rate on renting a home. How does 7% sound now?
Right, it's so
Exactly.
good,
Does that make sense?
100%, I love that.
Seriously, think about this. What do you get back from renting?
100% interest rate.
On renting, you like that?
I do.
Yeah, I love that.
Write it down,
Please.
100%
You take nothing else away, think about it. 100% is
versus
the cost of renting, 100% interest rate. 7% doesn't sound that bad.
They're
Michelle,
gonna tell them, it's better to ask, and then that way you're opening also a conversation and engagement and also building trust and rapport, and that you're finding out their
Exactly.
story, right, and their why, and all of that.
and you're getting more information from them. You're engaging with them, and I totally agree with that. Every objection I've ever had has always been answered with a question. Because you try to understand when people have an objection, like, oh, the price 7%. Have you owned a home before? You know, how many children do you have? You know, how big of a house do you need with this house? You know, just pretty much any engagement that's sincere is going to, and people have, scripts are great. Scripts are great because they give you kind of a roadmap, but people have their own ideas about what they want. You can't impose your ideas on what they think is good for them. So you try to find out, as Michelle said, what is their reasoning? So, but we're getting into a whole other area now. I'm supposed to stick to open houses, but definitely, if you are unsure at all about being in an open house by yourself, I would definitely a week before contact a lender. See, and there are many lenders out.
Call Michelle Duncan.
Call David and say, hey, David, what are you doing on Sunday afternoon? And he's a wealth of knowledge. These guys are all awesome, you know, they're all awesome.
And think about your sign.
He's a very he's non-pushy. You would never have to worry about David, and what this is not a, you know, I didn't even know Michelle was going to be here. He is a very laid back individual, he's very kind, so people would not feel at all intimidated if so we'll, all four of you who are brand new, call David Traywick and
He's been in a process where the clients didn't end up going to him, but I think he also established a relationship with them. And he answered a lot of questions.
Yeah.
They ended up with a new build and they went with the lender, but they also always talk about, you know, we use data for the refi, so he helps establish that relationship in another way.
right, exactly.
Yeah.
So
Builds that.
that's just another thought for those who don't have that person that they can tap. I personally would never have my husband come to an open house. I would rather shout out because my husband's an architect. Oh, gosh. And he he would talk people out of buying anybody. Oh, you could have done much better. To do a better layout for you if you wanted to scroll out. You know, this wasn't really thought out. Let me, no, not in 1,000 years. He wouldn't even, I leave him in the car. Yeah. No, I said, do you realize you talk people out of things? No, I didn't. Of course not. Telling them a better way to do it. That's right, but we're trying to sell this house.
You're
You
not
stick your
telling
thumb. So kudos to you for having something you can put out there in public.
No, he doesn't go with her. She doesn't like him.
Oh, yeah, but we can trust him not to talk them out of the house. Anyway, so, but whoever you get, the one thing I would think is say, I've seen with the new agents, I've seen some, how can I say this in a kind way?
Just say it.
Okay, I'm going to say this. I have heard some things recently that literally made my hair stand on end.
Don't get me started.
And I, unfortunately, was concerned enough to, just have to change things around a bit in the office, as it were. But, as Broker Chat said, whatever you do not bring your family members, your dog, do not bring your baby to an open house. If you have no childcare for your youngsters, cancel the open house. Because the liability, the chance of the baby falling into a pool while you are distracted at work. There are so many recipes in that scenario for tragedy and huge liability for the brokerage.
This sounds fascinating to you.
Yeah, it does.
This sounds fascinating.
Okay, it's true.
Call me, I'm not gonna do the house.
Yes, so nobody ever does an open house for me personally, unless I am there with them and train them first. After I see that they know the ropes and they understand how it goes, nobody should be expected to do it without any sort of
Yes.
training. Common sense is the most uncommon thing
I know, right?
on the planet, okay? So that's enough said about that. But I would just caution everybody in this room or anybody listening, do not invite any other than a licensed realtor or somebody who is there to support you, protect you. And when people walk in the house, they by all means walk outside or just leave you to do the real estate talking, okay?
I agree.
And I
Yes.
wanted to just mention one thing on that, and then we can leave that topic alone.
I don't understand why somebody would want to take their family, that's far-fetched.
Well, here's the.
I mean, other than for protection, I get it, but I've done at least 2 or 3 by myself
Well,
and.
a family, I'm talking about like 6 or 8 people.
I'm not, no way, that's a party.
Okay, hanging around, going into somebody's home, and this is the point I'll make about this. We go through all kinds of training to obtain our super key,
Yeah,
okay? That is a privilege
yeah.
to enter somebody's home and not have them be there, to just walk into their environment and have them trust you is an awesome responsibility. And in my entire career, I have never taken anybody other than an authorized person into an open house or even on a showing. And here is one of the reasons why, apart from being completely honest and above board. Every home today, almost every home has cameras.
Oh, yeah,
They have audio equipment.
yeah.
So I can tell you that our top agents in this office have received phone calls from their clients saying, why are there children in my home?
Oh,
And that's their reaction. What?
And it's very difficult because what if you as the agent has the listing and you get
Correct.
that phone call and that seller says, I don't believe that this is a good fit.
No.
You
How
are,
much
you are
money have
terminated
you
as
lost?
the
Oh my
agent,
God,
and I personally do that. If
That's-
somebody allowed unknown people into my personal home,
It's unprofessional.
they would never have any of my business again, because that shows very poor judgment.
Mhm.
Absolutely.
So
You do no
if I were
harm.
in the station and I got a phone call, it will never happen, trust me. But if I were on the other side of that phone call, I would be absolutely horrified,
That's horrible.
because all of the trust.
It would not be good if I was a concealed carry person.
That's the only reason.
Yeah.
I don't. But I'm not. I'm always very nice, but there are certain things that regarding integrity that really get my blood boiling.
Yep.
Anything to do with that.
That's terrible.
So common sense, I'm a little more forgiving, because it's an uncommon commodity.
It's not common.
So I'm going to just leave it at that
Okay.
it does happen. So anytime you do an open house, just understand that you are there with, you have been fingerprinted,
Mhm.
they know who you are, and once you hand that to somebody else, it takes away one responsibility, yeah. So as much as we like to be support, imagine being a homeowner in your own way. I do this all the time. I frequently, I'll look at the cameras in my home, and if something's off, it gets me very upset.
Yeah.
Like when I'm way out in the country and it might say, somebody is walking under one eye, I'm like, why? Imagine if you saw a piece running around in your house, maybe a dog, maybe a couple of teenagers, because their dad, it was their weekend to have the kids. It was his weekend to have kids, and he forgot. So he just brought them along. I know how I feel if I were the homeowner, so. And this has happened, these are real.
Sure has.
Oh my goodness, that's horrible.
I have a quick question. So we have a new listing in Lake Park, and you're allowed to use one sign out front of the house, and that's it.
Yeah, okay.
How can I, for my seller's benefit, attract people from 41, from Goodlit or whatever the road is to the right side? How can I pull those people in? Obviously, we market it on the MLS, it's everywhere, on Realtor Zillow, it's on our social media. How can we grab those people driving down 41 or driving down Goodlit? I mean, I know Karen has said one time she had shirts made, because she had a similar listing. She had shirts made, had her husband and her son stand on 41 and 2 separate roads and kind of direct people in.
Oh, wow.
But I was just kind of wanting to mastermind around it, because I really don't have any other ideas besides having shirts made and having a few people stand out on the side.
That's a great idea, by the way.
Karen, that's a great idea. Sorry, Karen.
That's a great idea. City of Naples is really strict.
Yeah.
And on some, you can see them going around, they say, Collier County Community, something or other, and the whole back is filled
Yep.
with open house signs. And they just, seriously, just drive around taking everybody's signs away. If you put them in the median, I had a business in Naples 10 years ago or more, and we used to put the signs in the median. They'd be gone in 15 minutes.
Yeah.
Because, you can't, there really isn't any legal way around it. As Jeff mentioned, the brokerage will they'll get fined,
Mhm.
basically. So we don't want to do
One
that.
cross street, positive in the city. Load it, a house, it's loaded the cross street.
3 signs,
Yeah, so.
3 directional signs and 1 open house sign.
So it has to be just a directional sign. It can't say
See
open
with
house.
an arrow or?
Can it say open house with an arrow?
Say open house with an arrow, that's the point people say. Yeah.
So they can identify you. Going to
Find you.
Yeah.
So I didn't
Depends on the locale, like.
The generic point.
I can tell you, I have a listing that's kind of tough, Henry was also in Cape Coral. And on Saturdays, I've literally put out 14 signs every street.
Right.
And just make sure I get them in as soon as the open house is over. but they don't bother you at all. It's just the city of Naples. The county is a little bit more lenient, although they'll do it too. They'll do it too. I don't know any way around it, honestly, because we have made an agreement that we will do this, so we can't do this. I think shirts are a great idea.
Shirts are a great idea.
You can't even have the guy, the
Yeah,
dentist guy.
I don't wanna-
They stopped all of that.
I mean,
I had a great guy doing that for me. $10 an hour.
It's cheap money right there. I understand why we said we weren't gonna do that. But on Goodman and on 41, at that cross street, there has to be a way to put what the address is, stick the paper on there, one side on either side. And if they take it, they take it.
Right.
But
If you identify the brokerage, they will find
we
us.
will find it.
I know there was another guy hosting at the same time last Sunday, and I had a couple come in and they said they were at that open house beforehand, and he said all the signs within 15 minutes, he had 8 signs out.
They're gone.
The guy luckily brought it back to his house and dropped them off and said, don't do this again. But, that's one slap on the wrist, and then I'm sure you would get fined the next time, and I don't want to go down that route. But I obviously want the best for my seller
Right.
and draw in the most people, so.
Lakes Park is a great location for people like driving through.
Right,
Here is here is a little suggestion for you. The most popular place in Lakes Park area is the Lakes Park Diner. So if you brought some flyers over there and just kind of, hey, guys, great to see you. Obviously,
like go over an hour before the open house and kind of just hand out some flyers there.
well, you'd have to check this. The folks at the window
Mhm.
are very nice folks. I check in with them first.
Right.
They're really accommodating.
Okay,
So it
I
might
would
be,
reach out to those owners and build a relationship with them
there you go.
and say, hey, occasionally I will have a listing here. I'd love to promote your restaurant and your diner. Do you have something that I can take to my open house? Because it's right there,
Yeah.
Right.
And in return, I would
And I
like to
sent
leave
them over
flyers here at the window
Mhm.
because it's in the neighborhood, would you mind? So when I was in the golf business, I did a lot of cross promoting,
Mhm.
cross marketing, and that's the best way to do it.
Yep.
Okay.
Build relationships. And you can also go a few days before and do a little video of their business.
Mhm.
I mean, it's a great business.
like
It's a-
support a local business kind of.
Exactly, and do your little support the local business there and just mention that if you want to live near this area, we'll be doing an open house on such and such
Exactly.
street.
Right, like a shameless plug at the end.
It's shameless fun, it's okay. If you want to get the house
Love
up.
it.
Absolutely.
So, I mean, that's just, I would engage some of the businesses in the area. That's a very kind of tight community.
It is, it really is.
It's a great community. People like interfacing. So I think if you go there a few times, have lunch there one day, just while I was here, I was just wondering, could I do a little promo with you? And then next time you go back, do another, hey, did you get any feedback from my promo? And,
Yeah.
and engage them in it too.
Okay.
Don't just do it yourself.
Yeah.
Have one event, tell us about your.
Right, like kind of interview the
Yeah.
person. You're saying kind of like interview, like if you were the,
Interview them.
okay,
Yes, say, I'm going to be doing an open house on just around the corner from here. And I'm going to be sending people over here. Tell us about your restaurant, how long
Okay.
you've been here. I know you've just opened another one. And just do it that way.
okay,
And just have it be very natural, friendly, and
perfect,
You're truly building a relationship.
that's what you're doing.
right,
Because there are
We
many
should all do
realtors that live in that community, and I would be curious to see how they do their open houses.
Mhm.
As a matter of fact, I will ask one that I know and see if there's a way in another thought and idea.
Yeah.
Okay, cause yeah, we had 2 of them, they were actually just walking down the street together and they stopped by, you know, they have clients and stuff they're looking for, but they were just walking down the street and live in a neighborhood, two realtors, so.
You gotta let all the neighbors know, right? Do some door
Right,
knocking.
some door
to
knocking
go the
there.
whole neighborhood with a nice flyer.
Nice, yeah,
Some beautiful pictures and say, hey, no, I know a lot of people who live here are waiting for houses to come on the market. There's a script for it,
Mhm.
but in case you have a neighbor or a friend that wants to move up, or, I don't know if it's a move up or a move down, but share the information with them and, you know, they may just have someone. These older neighborhoods that are gentrifying, the older people are dying off, and the ones that have moved in there want their families to come and live there because they are family neighborhoods.
It's multi-generational.
Exactly, and that's kind of what was in my head with this house I sold very quickly. So just, you know, do things like that.
Okay.
We don't just rely on signs.
right,
How many times do we just drive by? I don't think it's a detriment to your listing that it's where it is and they won't allow too many signs.
okay,
Just do your minimum, but do your due diligence ahead of time.
gotcha,
Preparation, that's what I would
It's the
suggest.
key of open houses.
Preparation is everything, and then we'll talk about follow through in a minute. I think that's enough preparation. This preparation topic. I would like to just cover preparing the house, because this is not always obvious to people. They'll come in and don't turn on people's TVs. Because what happens is, there's golf on TV, and the wife is looking at the house, the husband's not interested. He'll go sit his butt down and watch the golf. He will, and the sellers can look on their cameras and see people treating their home like it's, you know, Sunday afternoon at grandma's house. Don't do that, leave the TV off, but unless you put on a YouTube channel, it's an aquarium or something like that. But always ask permission before you do it. Don't touch anybody's remotes, don't do anything like that. I don't
either.
After
I don't
years in the
either.
business, I would never, I'm even reluctant to ask for their Wi-Fi. If I want to work a little bit, you know, I know it's going to be quiet,
I usually get that in the beginning during the listing,
yeah.
but I ask them about it, you talk with them about it, you say,
Would you
would you
mind?
mind if we use the Wi-Fi when we're doing the open house so I can do some
Right.
work? They also ask, how do we prepare the house for an open house?
Correct, and
And
that's
they
on
do.
next, yes. That's part of the,
Yes.
yes, this is kind of what we expect. And I have one now that it just sold, not surprisingly, in Compass Landing. Every time I went in there, she had fresh flowers, just worked their butts off alongside me to get this place sold. People would come in and go, does anybody live here? It looks like a model home, and they have 2 little kids, I mean, amazing.
That is
But
amazing.
here's what I say about preparing. A lot of people bring food. I don't bring any food to anybody's house.
Because that will make a mess.
I just don't. I bring water because you can have mints, something like that, but not food. Really, do you, Doreen? I don't recommend bringing food in
It's been
something.
a long time since I brought in water.
I bring
But I
water.
do.
I do.
because, you know,
I bring, because it's been so blisteringly hot when people come in, falling on their knees, I give them water, but that's about it. They're not there to have a party in somebody's home.
No,
I have all my information, and for the newbies, just take, this is another important point. When you print from the MLS, you cannot get the realtor version of the listing. That's an ethical violation, okay? You can print the customer report, the customer financial report with photos, anything like that. Do not print the realtor report, because on the realtor report is confidential information. Okay, that's from realtor to realtor. And they call it confidential because they don't want anybody but realtors to see it.
there might be some sort of motivation or something.
That gives unfair advantage to one side or the other.
So
So
when you
don't
print
do
it
that.
on the MLS,
Yeah.
it says customers report.
Yes.
Okay.
When you go up to the top, it'll say 360 property view. Then the next item is the Realtor's report. Then the one after that is customer report.
Okay,
You can print as many customer reports as you want,
okay.
okay? I usually, for an open house, I typically print a Realtor report, so I can remember for myself, that doesn't go out anywhere. That, and the customer financial report with photos is what I use to put on the table. I generally print 10, 20, depending on the location, and my business cards. Okay, I don't staple my business card to the listing. Okay,
I usually do in all of my listings a packet of information.
right,
So if I'm doing my own open, it's okay to give it out, but if you're really doing an open for me, you're not gonna want my stuff out there. So in there though, I do have pictures and feature sheets.
right.
And if you want any of that info, I'll do it unbranded, so that, you know, you can have all this information. One thing Jeff said, which was really informative, is what's active, what is recently pending, what is recently sold.
All that information
All this
is
information
pertinent.
is good, so,
And that's really good for you to have in your head
Yeah.
before you go. And
yes,
because it makes you be the neighborhood expert. And that's what people are looking for. They want they can look on Zillow and all of these outdated, they're always outdated sites that you can never rely on it. But people use that as their Bible. Well, on Zillow, it said that, you know, so that's their belief system, so you just can't change it. Just say, well, this is current, you know, MLS requires us to be current on things, anything that materially changes with the property. Zillow and Realtor have their own rules. I don't particularly use those websites myself. I stick with the MLS because I know it's all up to date. That's how I roll.
and I agree with that,
And you say it in a nice way, not a judgmental, well, I don't use that. I'm just concerned about that because oftentimes I go, how people will ask me to look up a house. It will have sold 3 months ago. It's not even been available for 3 months. The MLS is a more reliable source for me. So this is, you know, anything that you need, you can contact me and I'll research it for you. So, but yeah, that's what I do. That's how I roll. Yes.
This is, just about cleanliness in the house,
Mhm.
and preparing it. Do you ask people to remove their shoes? Or,
It depends on the situation and the house. During COVID, I purchased booties and people did not want to take their shoes off and walk in a house in their socks or bare feet. People don't have socks in Florida, so they'd be walking barefoot. I provide booties, and they're not cheap. And, you know, now that COVID's passed, I don't mind reusing them, so I'll leave them at the front door.
but is
So-
that the best practice to do booties? Like, do most people do that, or do
Most people don't do it. I just think it shows respect for somebody's home.
Right.
Because you don't know where all these people are coming from. They could have just looked at new construction. And you know what's in new construction? Mud, sand, dirt, grit. You don't want that tracking through somebody's home. So I think it shows genuine concern for somebody's home. If a homeowner looks on their cameras and they see them walking around with booties on, guess what?
they're happy.
But when I step into somebody's home, if I'm going on a listing appointment, I always ask before I walk in.
Right.
You know, we do the script, had an appointment at 3 o'clock. What's your preference? Would you like me to leave my shoes here? Outside? Oh, no, it's okay. But I still, at an open house, I ask people to cover their feet, so they're not really step in.
Learning about an association or about a community is what you guys should be doing when you're going
Absolutely.
to a new community, you don't know anything about it. I like to put my supplemental documents in the MLS.
I do too.
It has the seller's disclosure, or it has,
Inventory list, it could have anything.
whatever it is, but also your rules and regulations for your HOAs. And 9 times out of 10, maybe not quite 9, there will be information on the HOA as a whole. If it's not in there, you've got to find it, you have to know that information about the association.
Yeah, because some associations are pretty strict on, especially like signage, you know, like Forest Glen, like they only branded for them. So like the one time I put all my signs out, not knowing, it was my first time doing an open house there.
You don't.
They knocked on the door and,
Yeah.
yep, and they said, is that what that?
Just for the new people, on the listing, when you take a listing, it's a requirement of the listing to put that the management number is on there. Under the realtor report, it's on the right side, midway down. You can just make a simple phone call a few days before and say, I'm new to the area, I'm going to be showing this property, what are your rules about signage? They will tell you, you know, but I'm not opposed to putting I have a sandwich board. I don't like putting stuff in people's yards. I'm a gardener, so I don't like people messing around with my lawn. So I have a sandwich board. It's two-sided. I just put their open house today, right in the middle of the driveway. Smart. And I do that because I don't want people driving their oil dripping cars in my client's driveway.
That's a great idea.
Always put right in the middle so they know it's a subtle hint. Please don't pull up here. Right? Put it right there.
I'm gonna do that.
Just if they sell them for $30 down at the neighbor in the realtor thing. I love that sign. And that just saves you from having to say to people, oh, do you mind parking? You know, and at the same token, I never pull my car into somebody's home, into their driveway. Never.
And you ask the others don't do that.
I don't have to ask.
Put the sign.
Right.
So that sign
I get
says
it.
open house on it, what does the sign say?
Just says, it says whatever I write on there, but I just had open house today. It's a pretty big sign.
Is it one you can you like write on it? Do you write on it? Is it like a,
Chalkboard.
No, it's just a red and white sign, and it's got a big white bit in the middle with an arrow. The white part is an arrow. So I just put it, so you can see it from the other direction, pointing to the house. And I just put open house right on it, that's all, and just put that there. It saves you from having to tell people, don't drive your car into the driveway. I've had, my sellers have said to me recently, the people that keep this the most beautiful home, listen, if you want to move my car and drive it around to the community center, you don't want it, you know, there for the open house, go ahead, move it. Do you think I would ever move it?
No.
Not in a million years.
Never, never, ever.
That car stays right there. Oh, my sign's right behind
That's
it.
a liability,
Okay,
waiting
I'm just sharing this because it's human
Yes.
instinct.
to help.
So, oh, it's so nice of you.
Yeah.
That would look so much better. Your blue car just looks great in front of the house, so I'm going to take it over. No, no, that's so nice of you to offer. Gosh, thank you.
Yeah, no.
No, no, don't
That's
touch
amazing.
anybody's car. Right, do you agree?
Oh, absolutely.
So he's asked me every time I did it, move my car, we'll be gone for the weekend, just put it wherever. Not a chance, why would I ever do that? Much as I love you. So preparation, when you get to the house, just look, if you have to sweep the front stoop, if it's been windy and there's stuff, get rid of it, go sweep. I have my kit, I make sure I have towels, Windex. You'll be amazed what you could do with Windex in 20 minutes. I always get to my open houses between 1 hour and 30 minutes ahead of time, depending on how far away it is. Typically speaking, I am there 40 minutes before showtime, okay? So, and if I have somebody putting out signs for me, even better, gives me more time. But I always show up with, I always have Windex in my car. I always have something that smells nice in my car. I always have wipes, things like that, okay? And water, offer people water. Make sure too, when you, at the end of the day, when you, make sure nobody's left their water bottle on the person's bureau and make sure you clean, take everything. I take everything with me. I don't even put water bottles in their trash can. I put
I don't
nothing.
either.
I never leave any trace of me having been there. And when I leave, even if I know they've gone for the weekend,
Yes.
I send them a text. I have locked up the house, the lights are on, off. Thank you so much for allowing me to do with everything else. Like, why didn't I believe you? You're selling up. Thank you so much. But, and the reason is, it's a privilege to get your super going and open up their house, unrelated person, and walk in there. And it's a privilege.
Yes, it is.
And I treat it that way. Doesn't matter who it is.
What is in your open house kit?
Windows,
Yeah.
you know,
Towels.
paper towels, wipes, a roll of toilet paper, just in case.
Yeah.
Always take a roll of toilet paper with you, just in case. Flyers, up to date things. I may have made something pretty. Maybe I'm just using the print off from the MLS. Business cards, always. A sign-in sheet. So when I do the sign-in sheet, I do it, let's move on to this next when people are actually coming in now, because I think it would be a benefit to a lot of new people. I think for me, I qualify people the first 30 seconds they walk in the door. Okay, as soon as they come in, I was trained to do that. I was an on-site realtor back in the day. And as soon as they walked in the door, I said, oh, thanks so much for coming. It's a pleasure to meet you. So are you working with a realtor? And you lean in, like, you're really seriously asking them, are you working with a realtor? Oh, no, we're just stopping by. We live off the street. Oh, thanks for coming. That's so nice. And let them come in a little bit further. And then you go in for the, so are you planning to sell your house? Or what are you know, just engage in conversation. And then it comes around to, in a nice way, depending on the response. And I'm not going to tell you what my answer is exactly every time, because it's going to depend on the response I get. But I typically will find out within the first minute, whether they are cash, whether they're going to be using a lending institution, whether they have a house to sell. And can anybody tell me why I need to know that?
Yeah, I don't want to waste my time with that.
Because the very next person that comes in while you're wasting your time over here with somebody that's a looky-loo, that's no intention of buying the house, will not tell you anything. This next person, oh, my wife's gonna have a baby in 3 months. We really need to get in a house. Is this one available? Oh, we love it. It's this great. And okay, will you be cash? Or do you need to speak to a lender? I have some great options for you, blah, blah, blah. Okay.
Do you let them walk the house without you? Like, how do you protect them from that?
It depends. I can tell you I've never had anything stolen in 14 years.
You don't follow them around everywhere, or?
I never follow anybody around, but here's what I do, and thanks for asking that. Because when they come in, when I found out, are they a motivated buyer, are they the neighbor from across the street who just wants to go out?
There are many of those.
Looky-loos coming in. I will then say to them, so what's your preference? Would you like me to show you around the house? Or would you prefer to look by yourself?
Oh,
So I only let them,
That's an elegant way of saying.
what's your preference? And you lean in. And they say, oh, well, can we just look around? I said, absolutely. What does that tell them? That we trust them.
Right.
Okay, but guess what? As soon as they disappear out of sight, I'm right there. And I say, you know, if you have any questions, don't hesitate to ask.
Oh, I forgot to tell you that.
Something like that,
Something you're always.
right? You see the difference?
Always, but you're not.
You're
always.
you're always within earshot.
Yes.
And you're allowing them to look by themselves, but you're just like a little gnat that's
Yes.
asking them questions, okay? Because going back to You are responsible for that person's home,
Mm-hmm.
okay? And I always tell my buyers, whenever we have open houses, of course, no cash, no stocks, no bonds, no money, no jewelry, nothing out. It should be go with you or put away. I've never had anybody or even the hint of anything like that in 40 years. I'm serious. Never, because I've always followed the same procedures. So would you like me to show you around or would you just prefer to look by yourselves?
Now, how do you balance, we're coming in the season and let's say you're at an open house solo agent
Right?
and you have, your open house starts at 1 and you have 4 couples already
Right.
waiting at the door.
Qualify them. I'll
So-
be right with
You
you.
have to. You
Okay.
Have to qualify them. You have to know who that person is.
Right.
And you get really good at it very quickly.
Because sometimes, like if the first couple comes in, they're signed in, we're having a good talk. That second or third couple comes in, they hit the master bedroom right up at the front and now
Right.
now, for me, I always count, if there's 4 people in that party, 3 people in this party, now I know there's 7 people in the house, because I wanna make sure everyone leaves, I'm not scared that someone might hide in the closet or, but you never know. And-
You should be.
Right, and yeah, and this.
If it was your own house and you had a bunch of workers there, wouldn't you wanna know they all left?
Right, and I always do a
Cool.
tally, I just, in my head, I'm like,
Exactly.
okay, there's 10 people in the house, I need to make sure
Right.
10 people have left.
If it's a big house, I have a house right now that's like 4,800 square feet.
Right.
And you cannot. And the last few weeks, I've encountered this, you cannot tell when you're in one part of the house is long,
Yeah.
4,800 square feet, it's like this building. But when they're in that part of the house,
You don't,
you can't hear. So I had a situation where a potential buyer came in, they were doing a home inspection. And I was talking to the husband and wife, well, all of a sudden their teenage daughters showed up with their boyfriends, and the friend of the husband, and they're all over. They're starting to run all over the house, and I just gathered them and said, excuse me. I know you won't mind me saying this, but the owners are still here. So I know they don't care if you look at the house, but could I ask a favor of you? Would you please all stay together so they're only encountering one group in one room at a time? It's a little much to have people all over the place. Do you understand that? Are you okay with that? And absolutely, people understand. We weren't thinking. I said, no, it's absolutely fine. It's just that he's working at home. Yeah, and he knows that you want to see every room. And just that they mind. Would you just keep your group together as a special,
Right.
request from me? Yeah. Nobody ever takes offense.
I think that if you are upfront and honest and to the point, and you're calm, people will go, oh, of course.
I wasn't thinking is what
Right.
they'll say. Oh, sorry, I wasn't
And
thinking.
then the other part of it is that we have just come off the last 3 years where there have been a bazillion people at open houses. That is not going to be the case.
No.
Right, now with like a 4,800 square foot home, let's say it was
That's hard.
like 2 stories. Would you then recommend maybe getting a lender to come in and host it? Maybe
Absolutely.
someone goes upstairs.
You need
someone-
3 people.
Yeah.
Right,
If this they all came and showed up, if I had known that they were, the home inspection, you usually have the principals and the inspector.
Yes.
There were 3 inspectors and all of these, crowd around. So I just politely said, I apologize and if you wouldn't mind, I'm just, oh, sorry, we weren't thinking. I said, no, it's perfectly okay, but the owners. So if you could all just stay together in a group and just move as a group in the
Yeah.
house, I would so appreciate it. And they're like, oh, gosh, yeah. In that house, if I were doing an open house, I'd have 3
You
people.
would have to.
I'd have one at the far end, one in the middle, and somebody at the front greeting. people.
greeting people and then they kind of
Correct.
get past, okay.
Yeah, definitely.
And I think it
definitely.
is extremely important, like for me, I don't necessarily ask them, would you like me to accompany, because I don't know, I'm always kind of there, but I'm not there.
Yeah,
But when they're walking in the house, I am handing them a packet, I am introducing myself, and you guys are going to know whether they are serious or not by shaking their hand and saying, hi, I'm Doreen, welcome to the open house. If they go, nice to meet you, and they keep they don't want it.
They're not interested, you can tell by their body language.
Exactly. People will shake your hand and say, oh, my name is Tom. Tom, it's very nice to meet you, and you are. And that way, now you've got their name, right? You can call them by name. Let me just give you a listing sheet. Let me tell you a little bit about the house. And I don't ask as many questions in the beginning because I do kind of send them on their way through the house if I see somebody else is coming up. If nobody else is coming up and I've given them, okay, it's a 4-bedroom, 3-bathroom, 2.27 acres, it's all open, wide open, fenced in, etc., whatever, please feel free to look through the house. I'm here to answer any questions for you. And then as they start to walk away from me, nobody's coming up behind me, I will kind of go around and say, by the way, do you guys know what your purchasing power is? Or are you going to be financing?
Have you talked to a lender or will you be?
And then
I'll
walk
just
away.
assume that cash.
And then I'll walk away and come back with another question. That's just, oh, and don't forget, before you leave the home, can you please check in? Can you please sign in? You're gonna know if people are serious or not, because that book, they don't want to fill out, they don't want to give you their information. But when they say, well, we really would prefer not to, I understand that. My sellers would love
To
to know
require it.
who
but
was in
it's coming
that,
up.
who was in that.
That
letter.
works.
Absolutely.
My sellers would love
That's
to.
legit.
And here's
Yeah.
the thing, that they are now putting themselves in the shoes of the seller going, oh yeah, I would wanna know if somebody was.
Who's coming in line?
And I have one recommendation to that on this sign-in sheet. I always fill out the first line, so ours isn't like a book like that, it's maybe 15 rows.
Mhm.
I will fill out the first one with a fake name, a fake email, a fake number.
Yeah, put some other names on.
Right, and
that's a
then
good idea.
let's say you come in and you don't put your name, I'll put a fake email, fake number next to your
Or
name.
just put your own, but
Right,
put
yeah.
your name.
Yep, and then,
Right.
you know, I'll know, okay, the second person, they only put their name, they didn't put a phone number, so then when I put them into command or whatever your CRM is, you know, hey, that was just a name, but when people see that, you know, people are putting their name, number, phone, or
Yeah.
emails, they'll just follow suit.
That's
Yep.
Yeah,
so good.
exactly. Good point.
Yes, that's really good.
Let's talk about, did you have a
Do
question?
you use paper or the iPad?
I never use the iPad.
So I've done a study on it, I've done both, I've had both out there for 2 or 3 open houses. People would rather want it,
Okay.
they just would. They just would.
I just don't like using an iPad because, well, after COVID. No, not so much, you know, when you have to like check out in the store and they want you to sign all that.
Property that is a multi-million-dollar listing. Wouldn't it be protocol to take somebody's driver's license if they come in to know who's in that?
You, here's how a multi-million-dollar house works. It's generally,
Appointment.
it's generally only by appointment.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
And you know, when they make an appointment, the realtor, the super system, you have all the realtor's information, which agency they're with. Anytime you're dealing with a house, this is off the open house topic right now, but over $1 million or close to $1 million, it's usually 24 hours notice. Wouldn't you agree, Maureen?
I would agree.
24 hours notice to
Absolutely.
see the house.
Yeah.
That way you're not getting people. And I always call, and this is a practice, a habit and practice of mine. I call the realtor. And I say, are they cash? Are they motivated? Do they need to sell a house? If they need to do all of those things, they're not coming in. I'm sorry. There might be a certain exception to that, but why would you invite people into somebody's home knowing full well that they don't have the ability to buy that
Yeah.
house? The reason that we enter people's homes is to move the real estate. It's not about just getting ideas for decorating. It's absolutely not about that. Or a nice place to hang out on a Sunday with your kids. Definitely not. So anytime you have a listing that's it. Most of my listings now are around I don't know, 8, yeah. When you get to that point, I put 24 hours notice, no short notice.
So you wouldn't do an open house on the 19th?
Oh, of course I would, by appointment. Okay,
Oh,
yeah,
yeah.
you post the open house, and it can be your terms of engagement, okay? One of our agents has a $4 or $5 million home that she's trying to sell. She invites people regularly, but it's between the hours of, I think, like 12 and 1. Yeah. And she needs to know you're coming, she does food. No, it's at your discretion. We're just doing kind of the nuts and bolts. I can envision doing a broker's open with champagne and caviar. If the house is $15 million or, more than that, you're going to do that. You're going to bring Dom Perignon, you're going to invite people with the wherewithal to purchase a home, right? So what we're talking about today is just the normal I won't say run of the mill, that's a very negative term, but I'm saying the average, I would say in Naples, the average home is between 4 and 7, would you say?
Yeah.
Anything over that is considered luxury. Yeah. Oh, I'm glad we brought that up. I have seen some of our new agents advertising that they are luxury agents. They put it on their open house, Keller Williams luxury. Luxury is a designation, and in order to earn that luxury designation, you have to have sold, I don't even know.
I don't know what it is.
4 or 5, I don't
I
even
never
know.
put it on mine.
Anything like over 2 million, 3 million.
And you have to sell, I think that was to use the logo.
To do, yes, but I.
You're talking about for the name
To
tag,
be a luxury, no, not for your name tag, to designate on the,
like a flyer?
yes. If
Okay.
you're putting your name to that flyer, you should have that luxury designation.
Okay.
Okay, is that, okay, it's an earned name, okay?
They
So-
do tell you to,
Do they?
so that people are using.
I think the people who are telling you might not be listening to it.
Yeah,
I'm just saying, don't do it.
But if you had like a $5 million listing as your first listing, you got into real estate.
Right.
I mean, you would want to advertise, your flyers, your social media campaign as luxury. When you like, not
Don't
necessarily.
use your name, use
Yeah.
the list agent's name if they are a luxury agent.
But what?
I'll use yours.
Right. But what happens if you were the listing agent and it's your parents' home and you're selling it and it's a $5 million home for
Right.
that? You
Nope,
couldn't.
nope.
Okay.
You have to earn it.
Okay.
Okay, you have to be a luxury agent.
But you can take like a designation, like for example, the CHLMS. Certified luxury, you can take
Oh,
courses that.
You can take that course, but
Okay.
you still have to have sold.
Yes,
It's
exactly.
part of the, it's part of the,
Requirement.
yeah,
Yeah.
part of the requirement. To get around that, you want to. Keller Williams is a great brand, I mean, in and of itself, it's a
Right.
great brand name. If you wanted to use that, yeah, you'd have to check on that, because I know it's several
Yeah.
multi-million dollar.
I don't
agency.
believe that you can, I believe.
I don't think so.
You have to, it's nice that you wanna use it, but
Yeah.
you can't.
Really.
so you have to sell like multiple homes adding up to that, or no, they
No.
have to be
They have to
over
be.
a million?
Or whatever.
Oh, okay,
Mine, I did like a 3 million, then I did another 3 million.
Okay,
and
they
then
have-
2 million.
that's the actual $1 million.
But it has to be, you have to do several, multi-million, not $1 million is not like a,
Not like it used to be.
it's not,
Yeah,
it's
it's
not, that's a nice home, it's not like a mansion.
Right,
Okay, so I would say that, you need to earn that
okay, yeah.
in order to use it, so
Right.
just sell lots of multi-million dollar homes, and just like that, you'll be able to.
You'll
use
have
it
it,
on
perfect.
I didn't even know I could use it. I got this made and they said you can use that. So I
It's like, oh, thank
didn't
you.
even think about that.
Luxury.
I think the most important thing is to be, earning a living at this and not worrying about what
Yeah.
your name
Yeah.
said. I know I'm successful if I check my bank account, that's my own.
All right now, yes.
Pay my bills. I'm
Yes,
successful
we're
now.
trying to get where you're at.
That name tag, I don't know, I think I definitely qualify, but I don't know that I do, I just I've never done it,
They would have said to you, you are a luxury, they just.
I think it's just over years, I'm so.
Oh.
I
Well,
just had
then,
multi-million-dollar
Who are the
company.
people who have said that?
Yeah.
I just make sure that we've got. Okay, oh, this is a biggie for me. This is super important for me. There is an agency in town, and I'm not mentioning any names. But every time they introduce a new agent, and it doesn't really matter men or women, although in particular the women, they don't look like they're, how can I say this?
Nicely, no, just say it.
They
Yeah.
are exposing parts of their body and you
Yes.
wonder what they're actually selling.
What?
It's just not good. I would say that when they look very, you
Seductive?
probably know who it is,
Of course.
extremely seductive. They're very low cut, there's a lot of bare flesh of all
Boobage.
kinds. I'm not saying which kind it is, but the men, oftentimes they're in flip-flops and shorts. Be more proud of yourself than that.
Yes.
Be more
Good.
proud of yourself than that.
Be
Clap.
professional.
If I'm hanging out with my family, I'm not wearing a dress, I'm not wearing a jacket, I'm wearing the flip-flops and shorts.
Mhm.
Right.
But when you step out of your home to sell real estate, look nice, look the part.
Be
Yes.
professional.
Be professional.
Yes.
Not saying you have to be, in a silk Savile Row suit for the gents and, Vidal Sassoon outfits, Pierre Cardin. I'm not saying that. Just look tasteful, tasteful, and like you spend a few minutes thinking about what you have a mirror in your house. There's, this to me is super important.
Yes,
Now,
it is.
when it's hot out, I understand, and I have thin things, but they still cover all the.
Yes.
Still covered.
You do not want people distracted.
Mhm.
And oftentimes, if a man is a man and a woman are coming to meet with a realtor, and the realtor is so overpoweringly glamorized and, seductive looking, that she's
they
going to
won't
get
work with you.
PO'd and she
Yeah.
will not want to work with you.
No, yeah.
Okay,
Right.
so you have to tailor yourself to both parties.
I agree.
Does that make sense?
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
And
When
that's
would-
all I'm saying about that, because go ahead.
When would it be appropriate for a guy to wear a suit, for like an open house? It's multi-million,
Yeah,
just depending.
it depends.
You know what?
This is a casual community.
I have an agent that wears a suit at every open house he does, doesn't matter if it's a $200,000 listing.
Right.
And frankly, it's just the way you're brought up and.
Right.
Right.
It's a
What
personal
It
thing,
is.
but I'm just saying, look in your mirror and say, is this the person that I'm
Appropriately.
thinking is a very successful agent, man or woman? Is this the person I want to work with?
Mhm.
Okay?
Is this the person I want to portray to the world?
To the world,
Yes.
Right.
exactly, yeah,
Yeah.
so I'm just saying,
Mhm.
just be aware of what your persona is trying to sell, okay, and that's all I'm going to say on that. And
Well,
I think you know the agency, right, she's
Yeah.
laughing, but I'm
Yeah.
like, what are you selling? Every time I look at this, is not
Makes me
good,
chuckle.
it's not good, it's not good, none of our agents, thank God, do that.
Not anymore.
But I'm just saying.
Not
look in the mirror, Analyze. I think we've gone through, the safety aspects. Let's talk about the follow-up. Okay.
Yes.
Because you went to all this trouble. You called the association, you found out about the signage, you know all about the community. Oh, by the way, speaking of that, make sure you go take a look at the amenities. Go get there early enough to go and look at the amenities, because if they say, is there a pool here? And you're,
I'm not
not
sure.
all communities have pools. Just have an idea. The HOA fees, what do they cover? Know that, because you will be asked that.
So where can you find that information on the MLS? 'Cause
Where it says maintenance,
Maintenance,
you'll have on the one side in general, when you're looking at the
Yeah.
MLS listing sheet, okay. The taxes are going to be on the left-hand side at the bottom. The important item called commission is there also. Okay, your commission is
Right.
listed right
Okay.
there. On the right-hand side of the list sheet, there is all of the financials for the community.
mhm,
So there it will list what the HOA is, it will
Mhm.
list right across from that on the sheet, there it says what is included in there. So it will say streetlights, roads, the front gate, the guard, it will just list everything. Thank you.
so because I did an open house on Sunday and it said HOA $250 annually.
Right,
But there was nothing in the MLS that I could see what you get with what do you?
250 annually, zero.
Okay, that's what, it said zero, but they were asking me that and I couldn't answer that question because I didn't know and I felt,
You can answer it this way.
I felt humiliated, although I didn't know, I just
This is
didn't know.
why I'm bringing it up. So you will know next
I
time.
will know next time.
So what you would, if it's $100 a year,
It's nothing.
well, it's not nothing. Generally, it's a deeded community.
Okay, deeded.
And they make sure that you follow all the rules and regulations.
Okay,
Just like you pay $500 a month. But it will cover things like, depends how many doors are in the community, it will cover streetlights.
oh,
It will cover,
Trash pickup usually,
trash pickup.
well,
sometimes.
usually the county, that's in your ad valorem taxes. Usually, there's an exception to everything, but typically they're in the trash waste management has a contract with the county, so your taxes are the ad valorem taxes. What's another thing that has a financial impact on somebody's bottom line that you would need to know about? Correct. Okay, the CDD, do you know what that is?
No,
Okay, the CDD is like another taxing district. When a developer starts a community, let's say he's going to put in a massive clubhouse, he's going to put in 12 swimming pools, he's going to put in a restaurant bar. He floats a bond. Okay, for all the infrastructure, so he doesn't have to use his own money, he floats a bond. Anybody who buys into that community from today for the next 30 years, because they're typically 30-year bonds, they all pay a percentage of that bond. And when that bond is paid down in 30 years, your taxes go down. The CDD is a community taxing district, basically. It's called Community Development District. And it's tax, let's say the taxes are $3,000. The bond is $500, but it's tied up in municipal bonds. You have to speak to somebody a lot smarter than me to figure out like how they do the percentages. But let's say it's $500. Whoever buys that house has to be made aware that there is another taxing district over and above the ad valorem taxes. So it'd be 3,000 plus 500. Okay, and you pay that forever and a day. As long as you own that house, when you sell that house, then it goes to the next person, okay? You don't have to pay off your share of the bond, it just stays with the house. And it's called a CDD, Community Development District, and it's another tax on the house. So you have to disclose it, that's
Yeah.
so important, okay? It must be.
Just even your tax bill, so pull the tax bill and look at the tax bill, and it will tell you that there is a CDD and what the cost is of that CDD. There's a list in Neighbor, you can get the information.
You should just go online and say, Community Development District in Naples, Florida. They will pull them all.
And they include that into like on your MLS sheet, the customer report sheet, that's already incorporated into your
It's on
main
there.
taxes.
It's not the-
Like it would be your main taxes of 3,500 in your casebook, right underneath of it, it would say CDD. It's in a CDD community,
Yes.
but that's already incorporated, you're saying?
It's already in the taxes.
Okay, that's what I thought.
Okay, it's something that you can't get out of.
Right.
it, But anything that materially, that's money, anything that materially affects a buyer, you have to disclose to your buyer. And so you need to be, thank you so much for your imports. Sorry, I have to go. Hope you have an umbrella.
So,
I do. Someone else.
so I have one more other question. So like, it said on the MLS 500 transfer fee, is that for like if somebody was to purchase the home?
Yes,
They would
a
pay.
transfer fee is typically a one-time fee.
Okay,
So every door in the community pays that. That goes towards administrative things.
Okay.
It's nothing that you're ever getting back. It's
Okay.
not a deposit or anything.
it goes
just
to the
gone.
seller?
Sometimes it goes to the community, it goes to the property management company that oversees the community.
Okay, that's good to know.
And
Thank you.
for the good of the residents.
Okay,
It's not their money, but they collect it, it goes
Okay.
to them. And
that's
it's,
good to know, because I didn't know none of that stuff.
but it's super important to do your homework and understand, thanks for
Yeah.
knowing that, that's awesome.
But I have one.
Of course.
What happens when a community developer, when that development goes to the resident? And that transfers over and the developer is no longer,
Yes, that's
Is
why
that
it's
part of
taxed
the
by the
fee?
government, not by
the CDD,
the CBD.
so that never goes away.
It does, it after 30 years, when the bond is retired,
Okay.
And then after that, the community is clear of the CDD
done.
after 30 years, okay.
So your taxes literally, if you, let's say, it's a good question,
Yeah.
let's say you buy a house, let me just think of a community that was built in 25 years ago. Pelican South, we didn't have a CDD in Pelican South. Pelican Marsh was built in somewhere around mid-80s with a 30-year bond. Okay, that bond would have retired some years ago. But when during the, I think I might have even been involved in that turnover of that community, that the bond stays with the taxing district. The developer has no more input to that. The developer goes bye-bye, which in that case was my company, they're gone. These people are paying the taxes. After 30 years, taxes go down. So if you happen to, let's say you bought in year 28, you pay that for 2 years, or you buy in year 29, you only pay that one time, and you're done. That makes sense. You don't have to pay that all now, right? It just goes away. Okay.
Now, what about is it MSTU?
MTSU,
NTSU,
yes.
so. Is that also part of your taxes?
Can you pull it up?
Yeah. That, you can pay that one off, can't you?
Yeah, I think that's a different kind of a bond. It's not as big. It's okay. Of the building is.
Sorry.
Did you just want me to start?
Is that what it is?
Yeah, tornado warning.
Okay, so might I suggest that everybody just stay put for a bit, then I don't think there's any benefit in going out and
Yes.
yeah, they go too quickly when they come, so just don't worry about it. You're not going out on the highway right now?
No, ma'am.
Okay, that's just.
I'm gonna wait a few minutes.
Yeah, please, and can you text Doreen and tell her? In case, because she's going out and has sorrow right now. It's probably not the best plan of action, right, this is it. So, the MSTU is a different kind of a tax, and, that one,
It says it's used to improve the neighborhood and community. Sometimes MSTUs are set up to provide additional services in the community once.
right, let's say that would come up to the original bonds retired.
Okay.
You see what I'm
So
saying?
like,
Let's say the community needed sewers, lights, the infrastructure.
so not,
So they-
so they would do that rather than a special assessment?
Yeah.
Okay, kind of
They float, I think float another bond.
Okay.
And they have everybody chip in.
chip in to pay it. Okay,
I'm sorry, the follow-ups, yes, follow-ups. Stay in the middle. Yes. Follow-ups, I got it, well, it wasn't you who called me. Wanted to know when was the right time to follow up.
No.
Not the same day, unless they follow up with you, but within a day or two, just, probably the next day while it's fresh in their minds, just, thanks so much for coming to my open house yesterday, it was really a pleasure meeting you. Do you have any, questions regarding your apples? No, how's your time, did you go from dinner? I mean, it could be
right.
any reason, this all this speaks, and you know the people that have been in touch with you. Maybe it's somebody from your hometown wherever you came from. Just wanted to touch base, what nice was to see you. It's been ages since I've spoken to somebody from my hometown, my homeland. And did you have any interest in this? Is there anything further I can tell you about it?
I've incorporated something new into mine, so when I have the open house, let's say you come in, we have a great conversation, I will text the person before the open house ends and just thank them so much for coming to the open house. That's simple, just one, to make sure the number works, they give you a valid number. And if, let's say you get a green text bubble, thinking maybe it didn't send, they could have given you a house number, I always follow up, like she said, the next day or 2 days later with a phone call. Thank them again for coming to the open house, and then go in to see if, they are interested and had any additional questions you might be able to, answer.
Say, do you have any interest in this particular? Okay, it's simply to say that, it's fine,
Absolutely.
because that's why they came, right?
Right.
And that's why you were there to start.
Yep.
So, it sounds like it's getting intense.
Yeah, I'm not going anywhere in this time.
System.
So can you tell me, I'm very ready.
My name is
Nick, Sherry.
Yeah.
Yeah. Nick,
All
Mom,
Arms.
Arms. Okay. So tell me again what you just said. I didn't quite hear you.
Okay, so when
the follow-up.
it's
follow-up,
a
follow-up.
follow-up, so if I have a great conversation with you, you come into the open house, you come in right at 1 o'clock. I'll let you leave, you might be going to a few other open houses, you may have mentioned that. I will just send a simple text message and say, it was so nice to meet you, thank you so much for coming into the open house. Sometimes the message doesn't send, and that leads me to believe the number might be fake. The message might send, they might answer with, oh, it was so nice to meet you, stay in touch. And then I follow up a day or two after the open house. So if the open house is on Sunday, either Monday or Tuesday, I give them a call and say, same thing, it's great meeting you, thank you for stopping by. Is there anything I can, any additional questions you had? Are you interested in the property? And just really go straight into it. I mean, because they don't, right, because they don't want you to waste their time, just like you don't want them to waste your time.
It's a very quick phone call showing appreciation for them taking the time to come, and do you have any interest?
And you want to add them into your database, like into Command, into any CRM, and have a follow-up plan with them, tag them with open house. Specifically, I always put the address, like 39, I just put the number 3964, whatever the number of the address is. Because if everyone has open houses, you don't know if you met them a year ago, which open house it was. So I always tag it in Command with the open house, with the property address, and put them on some type of smart or drip campaign.
Yeah, so what if, so what would you say that you recommend for me to do? I had a couple that come in the open house, that house wasn't specifically for them, because they said, I asked them, I said, what'd you think about that house? And they said they didn't like it, but they're renting and their lease is expiring in like a
Oh, we
couple
love these
months.
people. Oh,
So I
Okay.
sent them an email just thanking them to coming out to the home. But I haven't called them, I haven't went further with them.
When was this?
Sunday,
Okay. You should be dialing them.
okay.
today.
And what should I
They're,
say?
they're like,
They're fresh, they're ready to go.
oh my God.
Yeah.
I'd say after that, you have a realtor first,
They don't.
no realtor.
So I know you didn't really have interest in that house. What can I help you? Well, how can I help you?
Now,
It
they did
sounds like you
say,
need some help.
they did say they already saw 30 homes.
Okay, so here's what you have to do.
Okay.
Say, well, I'd love to work with you.
Okay,
Would you like to come into the office?
okay, that's good.
And then you're going to sit them down and do a buyer broker consultation,
Okay.
okay? And then you're going to get them to sign your buyer broker
Yes,
consultation.
ma'am.
And then you're going to tell them at that buyer broker consultation, hey. It's my habit and practice. I know you've been looking a long time, but during my consultation, I find out we go deep into your needs and your wants. And generally speaking, I'm very successful at having you look at 2 or 3 homes and finding the right home. Does that sound great to you?
Yeah.
Does that sound great to you? Instead of driving around, looking at one house after another, wouldn't you rather have a more targeted approach? Didn't you tell me on Sunday that you needed to be out of your house by a certain date? Then you wait for the answer, don't keep talking. Didn't you tell me that you had to be out of the house by a certain date? What was the date? So basically you've got how many months?
Like a couple months.
2 months. Typically takes 30 days for the seller to be willing to move out of their home. So looking at the dates, that tells me that we have about one. Did you tell me you would cash or you have already been working with the lender?
Yeah, that's right.
Okay, that's your first question.
Okay.
So I can help you with, so when would be a good time for you to come into the office? Is Friday or would Saturday be better? There are 2 options. Would Friday at 4 o'clock work or Saturday at noon? If you only have the weekends to work, I'm happy to help you with that.
Do you have a recommended lender you would use because if they
Save
aren't,
that, save that.
Yeah, I have
Save that.
Lisa,
Okay.
right,
yes, McKay.
Okay, so say I have some wonderful lenders. I'll introduce them to you and you can make your choice. They're all really phenomenal at what they do and they should be able to get you approved quickly. So anytime we go to look at a house, the reason that you're not having success having looked at 30 homes is this. When you make an offer on a home, the sellers want to know where the money is coming from. When you look at a home with me, I already know that, and I can submit a pre-approval for them, showing that you are credit worthy and that you will be able to close on that house. So 2 people are looking at it, you're going to get it. And it didn't go back to the motivation.
Okay,
Didn't you
you
just
say,
tell me you had to be in a house for
Okay.
2 months?
okay.
Oh my gosh, you have no time to.
So just come right out and say, hey, I wanna work with you.
No,
just-
never. Have I ever said that? No, I didn't say that.
Well, you said, hey, I want to work with you
No,
in the
I
beginning.
didn't say that.
Okay,
Did I say that? I've never used that.
I thought I heard you say,
Mhm.
no, okay. So when I'm calling them, I just go back to what their motivation was, basically, about,
So didn't you tell me you had to be out in 2 months?
okay,
You have no time to lose.
okay,
So would Friday at 4 o'clock work or Saturday be better for you?
okay,
The reason I don't like to say I would really like to work with you is I want them to self-discover
okay,
that they're going to want to work with me because I bring such value and I'm so knowledgeable.
okay,
And they're definitely going to get the best deal if they work with me because
Okay.
I know a lot of stuff. And I've been in the business a long, long time.
and just get
I
the
never
appointment.
tell people I want to work. In fact, at the buyer broker, the first thing I say is, this is the buyer broker script. Thanks so much for coming today. Can I get you a drink of water? Okay, go through that. So today, one of 3 things is going to happen while we're going through our buyer broker. You are going to choose to work with me. You are going to choose to work with me, and that would be great. I am going to choose to work with you. That would also be great. We may decide that we're not a good fit, and frankly, that wouldn't be so great. And you're already nodding, yeah?
Yeah, I'm like,
doing the
yeah.
buy-in, okay, so just, does that sound fair to you? You do the tie down, then you start. But you've got to know the scripts like at the drop of a hat.
Yes,
Okay, and that's why I never say, I really want to work. with you."
okay,
You make it so that they have no other choice, but they
choice,
want to
want
work
to work with you, okay,
I've never once said that.
okay, I thought I heard you
I
say
think
that.
you thought it in your mind because you might have thought, wow, she really knows what she's saying. And that's what I want the buyers.
Yes, because that's what I heard, I was like,
Yes, they do hear that, but I've never said that to anybody.
okay,
I invite them to a buyer broker consultation so I can
get their needs.
show
Yes.
my work
Yes,
to them,
yes,
find out in depth what they want, and make a very concise choice. 4 houses to look at,
okay,
4 houses. Which one? They all have, they all meet your needs financially, physically. Which of these 4 works best for you?
okay,
That's
Thank
it. And then you're not, I've never shown anybody can do that. My entire career.
And I know this doesn't continue with the councils, but I never let anybody get your car without them being pre-approved or
Right.
paying cash and they,
I don't let anybody in my car, period. Too
Into
much
shape.
liability.
Really?
oh,
Never,
So how do you,
follow me.
thank you, Ms. Carroll.
I have a question. I saw that it's sorry. We put the lease on their property,
it's easier to get to the gates. It's like
Oh,
HOA
yeah.
gates, and it's hard, and it's small talk, and it's still, because a lot of our buyers be like out of town, I haven't seen it in a while, and I'll either pick them up from their house, or, going up to more buyers, I go that way, and I'm at my house,
Yeah.
and I just want to get in the car, I mean, I've even had, I guess, the car said, like, I need to drive, I said, that's totally fine, I said, you might be in your car,
Yeah.
because it's just easier to
Yeah.
kind of get around, it's small talk.
Yeah, I guess, whatever it is.
Right, and
Yeah,
I get.
Oh, yeah.
Down,
but I mean, what would be? What would be the liability?
if I got in a car crash,
They're covered.
you're covered under your insurance, right? It's just another, way. I mean,
I guess,
yeah, I mean, you're not,
stay out of the,
legal battle, whatever could happen, and
yeah, I get it.
but I definitely, love, but and it was hard during COVID because people were, they either didn't care or they cared, so you kind of had to feel it out, but I always, my husband's friend, 20+ years,
Yeah.
so that's just what I'm used to, I definitely get that.
Yeah.
Down.
Yeah, I got to.
Cause I like it because you really do pick up.
Yeah.
Things that, pick up on, where they're from, South Jersey, so they